Okay. Hey, hey. So today, my word for today is transition. It's been a very forefront thought as of recent. And I say that in a way of not necessarily transitioning in a huge way, but just how, we sometimes have to pivot. Pivot doesn't necessarily mean jump and do something completely new, but pivoting in how we transist our energy, what we put our energy into at different times for different reasons, whether it be a spiritual thing, whether it be a financial thing, whether it be a mental thing, whether it be just, for me, sometimes if I am waiting too much, I start to feel stagnation internally. I do not like to feel stagnation because I'm always like, there is something that can be done. So I'm constantly, I constantly have things going on that I'm trying to work on or move forward because I don't want that thought in my mind that I'm not putting effort into things that I really care about or want to do or whatever it is. So that all said, in this particular time, I'm doing some research on a project that I would like to work on coming up. But it started with me rereading a couple of books and reading a couple of books. And one of the books that I'm reading is called The Warmth of Other Suns. And I find it to be so interesting because it really has opened my mind about how many more people went through the migration from the South to the North, the Midwest, and the West. When you live in those places, and I lived in all of them, well, I've lived in all of the regions. You meet people who, oh, my family's from Mississippi, oh, my family's, and it never really occurs to you how those migrations happened. And when you think about history, when you were in, younger and in school, it's like you think about the fact that they talk about the gold rush, but no one really talks about black migration and how Jim Crow laws were pushing people out of the South, for 70 years. And the gold rush was only 100,000 people moving west looking for gold. It was 6 million black people that left the South to go to LA and Detroit and Chicago and New York and Philadelphia and Milwaukee and Buffalo and cities that you don't even really think, about so much, like as far as like migration. And it's not talked about a great deal. But it really makes me think about the transition that happens and how, in my culture, in black culture, a lot of times how we are pushed into transitions and it only makes us greater. So I think I'm really trying to say that like transition is sometimes what is necessary for you to continue to become great. Transition also connects you with what your abilities are and what your cause is, and just kind of influences how you can think about things differently. And I'm always like, yo, sometimes a different perspective is all you need. So I guess the word is transition. Transition is necessary. That does not mean uprooting and becoming somebody you're not and all these other things. It just means transition, whether it's transition of thought, whether it's transition of action, whether it's transition is such a widely used, a widely applicable word, that I think it's, something that we should all think about. Transition is not a bad thing. It's not a thing that is going to uproot everything you know. And in some cases it is, but is that a bad thing? So my word for today, transition. Transition, it leads to ingenuity, or does ingenuity lead to transition? You think about it.